So today's topic of discussion on the Walk and Talk is how do you write lyrics? And there's several ways to do it, and I've done it in a variety of ways. Sometimes you're just like I tend to write a lot from life perspective, and I have a hard time lately writing about how I'm actually feeling, but I like project myself. Ooh, it's loud over there. I project myself on other people. So I like to write like thinking about characters or people I know, and try to get into like their head or what they're thinking. Now, at least for Saints in Exile, what we do is we focus a lot on mental health and the struggles that people go through. And they're not necessarily, I know Mike is more so necessarily writes from things that he's experiencing or dealing with, but a lot of what I write is trying to play off of how Mike is writing or feeling in that song. And there's some different like caveats and ways of doing that. And then in terms of how, I don't play well, I play the drums, but like can't write music necessarily to drums, and I'm not actively drumming. So a lot of what I write for me comes from like almost like free form poetry. Like I'm just kind of writing thoughts down. And for anyone who's trying to write lyrics, don't even necessarily worry about rhyming or making it all make sense when you start, right? You almost treat it like an outline where you're just writing a whole bunch of thoughts down. And then you could slowly organize those thoughts. So once you get everything out, then organize. I like to break them up into four different parts. And then for me, then I start putting rhymes together for those four parts. Like, for example, like if you find a rhyme pattern, we can go with the word perceive. Things aren't what they perceive. I'm not sure what I want to believe. That's 2 lines. Thoughts inside of my brain deceive. That's 3 lines. Can't believe these are things that I would conceive. So there you go. So there's a group of 4, and those aren't lyrics to anything I have. I just made that up. So that's a group of 4. So now you might want to step into a different rhyme pattern, or you can continue that rhyme pattern where you can just be, sometimes I'm stuck, things feel so slow, I don't know where I'm going to go, lost in the wave, lost in the flow, just need a sign and then I can go. I'm going to turn around because it's loud over there. So now that's 8. So now you've come up with 2 parts. The normal verses, I would say, for songs, at least in the hip-hop structure, which is usually what I write in, is about 16 measures. So I just gave you 8. So I'd have to come up with 8 more, and that would be a complete verse. A lot of times when it's like more of like a singing type song, like something where Mike and I are singing, or he's just singing, that might be a 4. You might have to come up with 4 lines, and you can hold them out, or that just might be an 8. It all depends what the song's looking for. Now, in terms of like having that structure and that rhyme pattern and all of that, the next thing you could do is find a discernible melody. You need to find a discernible melody, and sometimes you just find the melody first. And a good example of that is our song "Run to You," where I was at my house and I was vacuuming, and I'm vacuuming, and just in my head, I'm saying, I run to you when I can't fall asleep. I run to you when I can't find my peace. And I started singing that kind of over and over again until it got stuck in my head. And I'm like, oh, that's a melody. That's something that's, Mike is huge on catchy melodies. So right away, I went and I messaged Mike, and I sang it to him, just like I sang it to you guys. And I said, hey, I came up with this. What can you do with it? Mike took that melody and he created a whole verse. First verse, he, started putting the music together, because the melody ultimately is what the music is going to surround. And it's also going to be what catches people's ears. Oh man, it is noisy everywhere I'm going, so I'm going to turn back around. So like, if you even think about our songs, the catchiest parts of the songs, like the bad vibes part, bad vibes, oh, that's catchy. Becoming the villain, are you in love with the chaos, in bed with the monsters, and just whatever. Pain is my best friend, reminds me I'm alive. Um, that's the part that everybody's going to remember. You just think about your favorite song that you listen to. What's the part that's super identifiable? So melody is most important. So you're either going to come up with the melody first and then create the entire song around the melody, like I just explained to you with Run to You, or you might just have a couple of disconnected and disjointed thoughts, and then you have to find a melody within that. Sometimes it comes and goes. Sometimes Mike, and this is applicable to whoever, sometimes you'll hear a piece of music and the piece of music will inspire you to write. And that's, at least going back to the examples of what we have, song Bulletproof was like that, where Mike had something there and I heard it and I added my own thing. My Mind is a Prison is another one. Bad Vibes was another one, where I filled in the blank. I heard the music and was inspired to do something. And then songs where I was becoming the villain, My Dead End, the music and the lyrics were kind of created together as we were figuring out an idea for a song on the fly and like what would work. Those two things were going hand in hand together. So it really does vary. There's no right or wrong way, but if you're just learning how to do it, the hardest part is going to be figuring out how song structure works and then coming up with a melody. Mike is a master of melody. I'm more of a master of filling in the blanks and giving a song what it needs to like complete or to be brought home. And I give Mike all the credit in the world for that because he's very good at it. I just so happen to do really well with the Run to You. That's my claim to fame right now. I probably started writing songs when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I used to use a marble notebook. And I remember just sitting there, no musical ability at all. And again, I almost started it off as poetry. Like, all I understood in my brain at that time and what I believed at that time was that everything needed to rhyme, which is not necessarily the case, but it is helpful. And I just used to just rhyme all these words. I was rapping without intending to rap. And then I used to play the drums with my band when I was like in 8th grade, freshman year of high school. I would set up a microphone and I would sing while I was playing the drums. Later on, I would rap while I was playing the drums, or I would have someone else sing it so I could focus on the drums. And those early songs aren't good, but like, you're learning. And I used to write a song a day, sometimes multiple songs in a day. Sometimes they were just a ton of gibberish. Sometimes there were some decent things in there. But it's just like in everything, practice makes perfect. And how they always say, I'm also a writer. I think most of you know that. They always say if you want to be a good writer, you need to be reading. You need to read a lot to understand different formats and types of writing and different authors. You need to be well versed in things: fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, even, and I hate it, but like even political or newspaper or just different types, so you can understand how words work and how you can communicate with different people. And that's the same thing with music, for sure. Listen to varieties of music. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one genre. I only listen to hip hop. I only listen to screamo. I only listen to country music. just dabble around different things. You are sure to find something that you like within every genre. And I used to be very stuck. Like I've always liked rock and hip hop for sure. So I've always been kind of well versed in there. And I used to like really heavier stuff, screamo, hardcore music. My band that I was in before was a prog metal hip hop band. So doing like more so pop, indie pop and rock music that I'm doing with Mike is like totally left field for me. But I've gained such an appreciation for it, and now it's like all I listen to, and it's helping me figure out how to create and write within this style, and I'm inspired by it. And I also need to know my limitations within it. Like I can't go crazy like if I was in my metal band, like yelling or maybe jumping around and the different styles and loading up with words, because that's not going to fit with the type of music that we're doing. So that's why it's so good to be well versed. Here's a little secret. I don't think it's that much of a secret, but most of the songs that we've been putting out as Saints in Exile are old songs. Um, so, Becoming the Villain in My Dead End, me and Mike started writing that song in 2020. And then, we weren't a band or anything. We were just friends and we were just messing around with stuff. And yeah, now all these years later, we finally put them out. So, we reworked them a bit. Bad Vibes, Bulletproof, Pain is My Best Friend, Our Love is Dead, the one with just Mike, and Mind is a Prison were all songs that Mike had in like 2018, 2019 that didn't involve me at all. They were completely different songs, but they were somewhat mostly what you hear now. And I came and I injected myself into those songs because I heard them and I was like, dude, we can make this work. Just let me work on stuff. And some of those, I hadn't made music or put out music in over 10 years at that point. So I just have so many things that I've written. Like I have notebooks filled with lyrics from all sorts of ages, from 20 to 35 years old. I have stuff on my computer, and I kind of go through like some of the best stuff that I've written, and then I'll plug it in. So I'm pretty sure the verse at the end of My Mind is a Prison, the long bridge part that I do, which I would do it for you, but I can't remember the words right now. Oh, the part, I can't expect you to understand everything. It was not visible, something I've been hiding. Put on a smile and pretend things are happy. Little did I know I'm on the verge of snapping. Can't take the secrets and the lies anymore. That whole part, I'm pretty sure I wrote that in like sometime between 2010 and 2012. And I thought it would fit for the song. 2010, 2012, I was 21 years old. I'm now 37. So 2010 at least. So there's a whole gaggle, stupid word. There's a whole ton of life lived since then, but it worked. Run to You was, where'd that rap verse come from? I think that's new. That's an original. That's a 2025 Justin. And funny enough, before I Run to You came out, the only song that was an original composition that me and Mike made that didn't previously exist, whether it was his or mine, was the second part to Our Love is Dead, OLID. That spoken word piece that I did. I wrote that, went to his house, showed it to him, and then we made a beat on the spot. So that's technically the first original Saints in Exile song. The second original Saints in Exile song would be Run to You. The song that's going to drop tomorrow, which, make sure you check that out. It's called The Good Won't Get You In. That's an actual hip hop song that I put out. Well, it was on Bandcamp, I think, or SoundCloud, YouTube. It's one of those. I made that whole rap verse that I do. Some of you have heard it. You'll hear it tomorrow if you didn't. I wrote that in 2011, 2012, to a totally different hip hop beat. There is a hip hop duo called Atmosphere. The rapper's name is Slug, and I can't remember the DJ's name, but they had a song called God's Bathroom Floor. And I heard that song, and I was like, wow, this song is amazing. I'd love to write a rap over it. And so I did. I found the beat on YouTube, and I wrote a rap over it. I got my boy Vinny Jet, who's a rapper local to where I am, and we did a version of that song, like a remix. We didn't put it out because, we didn't own the beat or anything. But I always thought that was one of the best verses I had ever written. So I told Mike, I was like, listen to this beat. I have this rap part. I don't know if it makes sense for what we're doing, but I really believe in it. I really like it. Can we try to create something that works for us? And so that's what we did. We built the beat. The original beat we built did not work out. It was kind of weird. We were showing it to people because I was trying to get someone to rap on the second verse. Everyone kept telling us no, or they didn't like it. That wasn't their style. So we went back to the drawing board and we reworked the entire beat. I re-recorded my verse and did it even better than the first time. And we still couldn't get anybody. But I know my boy Cutright, who's on the song My Dead End. This guy will rap on a kazoo sample if you let him. I sent it to him, and within a week, he sent me a verse back. He crushed it like he always does. And yeah, so that's what you're going to hear tomorrow. You're going to hear myself and Cutright. Should I write a second verse to it? I don't know, because it's like the first verse I wrote like 15 years ago, and I don't know if I can capture the necessary headspace that I was in 15 years ago when I wrote that. Excuse me. Like 15 years ago to write a second verse. So maybe one day, and I'll do a remix of myself. But we'll see. That drops tomorrow. I hope you guys like it. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, so that's just kind of like an example. You can make different things work, and you can make different things happen, but you just have to experiment and try things. And honestly, this was one of the first Saints in Exile songs, but it's, I brought it to Mike, I don't know, within a couple of months of us being a band. And it took about a year to figure out what we were doing with it. Now it's coming out. And now I think this is song 10. So don't rush the process. Just the process takes as long as it needs to take. Have you got any good tips for songwriting if you're a teen? Yeah, so as I said in the beginning of my whole story, I started writing when I was a teen. I was 12, 13, 14 years old, writing songs, trying to write songs every day. For a while, when I got into hip-hop, I think I was about 18 years old at that point. I used to write a whole rap song and produce an entire rap song every single day. Write, rap, record. Awful. Songs were terrible. But it got me in the practice of doing something every single day. Like, I must have made 50 songs in a year as soon as I got like a Mac computer. I was just working. So you just got to work on your craft, even if you're a teen. Some of the greatest music in history is written by Spiderweb. It was written by people who were young, teenagers. The Beatles became the most famous band in the world, writing songs as a bunch of 20-year-olds. And they're 60, 70 years later, the greatest songs ever written. But I would say more so on the part that I said about if you want to be a good writer, you need to read a lot. Same thing. Listen to diverse music. Find songwriters that you appreciate and that you like their style, right? And then study that style. And you can imitate them, but don't copy them, right? So put your own flair to what you think that they do well and bring something original to it. And if that's, I'm going to write a lyric, one or two lines of lyric every single day. Cool. Do that every single day. That's your goal. And maybe by the end of the week, right? I said you need, if you're going by hip hop standards, right? You need 16 lines of verse, right? You have 7 days in a week, 14, you find an extra 2 somewhere. Then you're writing a whole verse in a week. And there's a goal. And then you just keep moving forward. You keep working towards that goal. You just keep building until you got something. Hey, and guess what? Like, we give out our email address. We're available on Discord. You can message us and stuff. And, if you want some feedback, I'm pretty sure my whole head is covered in spider webs. That's what happens when you're tall. But if you want some like feedback or like, hey, what do you think of this? Or am I doing this right? I don't know. Shoot us an email. If I have some time, I'll take a look and let you know what I think. But only do it if you want honest feedback. If you can't take criticism or critique, or if I'm gonna upset you if I tell you, hey, I don't think this is very good, please don't don't email me. That's another thing too. Like when you're first starting out, kind of be humble and be open to critique, but be open to critique from people who know better and people that you can trust. Because, like, if you, let's just say your mom or your dad, they're gonna love maybe every single thing you do. Oh, this is my son, this is my daughter. Of course, this is the most amazing song. That's not the kind of feedback you want. Like, how many people you see on American Idol, they're the worst singer ever, and they try out. But their whole life, their mother, their grandma, their cousins, oh, you're sick, you're the best singer ever. And they're not. You want to find somebody who knows about this topic, who knows music or knows something, knows how to write, and be like, yo, truthfully, tell me about this. Is it good? And don't hold back. And once you're able to kind of let go of that barrier of like, okay, everything I do is not incredible, then you'll be able to take that feedback and just push on and be better. I bring things to Mike. Mike brings things to me, and we don't always necessarily like it. But if we believe in it enough, we push it, or we tweak it, or rework it until it's something that we can both respect. And that's a healthy dynamic and a healthy relationship to what we're doing. If we just told each other that everything that we did was incredible, we'd be lying and we wouldn't get the best product out.